to a very special episode of the Circle Back Podcast. This episode is going to be a God of War Spoilercast. Joining me today, as always, Dan Dufrenoy, and occasionally Shelby White.
Shelby White.
We're basically here just to talk about anything we want to talk about God of War. You know, except for Dan's outburst on episode 26. Normally we try to stay away from spoilers. So this is our place for it. So we're going to basically anything and everything spoilers for God of War. Okay. So anybody want to start off with anything in particular?
We got the Blades of Chaos out of the way already.
Yeah, but that's one of the big ones, I think.
Yeah.
And we can jump right into that if you want. So I think it was a really cool moment, and there were a lot of, I think when you're riding that, you know, canoe or whatever down the river and like all the flowers and stuff, like that was really, really cool.
Yeah.
But when I actually I don't know, there was something about like, I kind of wished that they just left it in the past, kind of thing. I think it was
the
a cool,
actual blades.
Yeah, I think it was a cool moment, and I understand why they would do it. And I'm sure every fan of the old series, like, it was their favorite moment of the game. But for me, it was a little bit like, okay, you know.
Well, I liked it because I think the reason why I like this game so much is just because of like it's like part nostalgia. But it's also, like, I really didn't enjoy the original God of War game, so it is cool to take something that, like, I didn't have very fond feelings for, and then, like, here's something new and fresh and exciting, and that I'm really, really into.
Yeah.
So, like, that, for me, at least, was, like, the tie-in, you know, like, the Blades of Chaos, where, for me, at least, that was the moment where it was like, okay, well, this is the same guy, this is the same, you know, games that I did not enjoy, you know. This was, you know, the gameplay. And, like, you know, you mentioned it before off camera, how then you just go and just destroy, like, a bunch of easy enemies for the heck of it.
It was almost like a retraining. You know?
Exactly right. And, like, for most of the game, you had to, like, retrain. Like, what I thought, you know, what you're accustomed to in a God of War game is, like, a hack and slash, just go, jump, just go, you know, attack. And then you had to kind of reinvent yourself for this game because you had to be more methodical. You had to kind of, you know, plan out your attacks. And you get the Blades of Chaos, and then you go completely back to exactly to what you thought. And I thought it was a cool, like I appreciated it. I'm like, and there was no way that they were not gonna do that. You know what I mean? Like I understand what you're saying, but I feel like, you know, that was too good of a thing to.
I do have to say, I wasn't even thinking about the Blades of Chaos throughout the game, even until like you're going back and you're like, I know what he's getting.
Yeah,
I know exactly what he's doing here. But I have to say, like, playing with the axe, the mechanic of that was so good and so easy once you figured out how to actually get good and everything with it that I didn't even think 1 second about the Blades of Chaos whatsoever, you know? And then he goes back and he gets them, and I have to say, I used them for a little bit, and then I was like, screw this, I'm going to keep using the axe. I was like, I was better with it, you know?
Well, I did like how there was the point where, I'm sorry, Shelby, I didn't cut you off.
No.
I like, there's certain, like, bosses or certain fights where, like, you have to, like, alternate.
Yeah, I did like that. I like that,
cool.
too, but I have to say, I wouldn't have even thought twice about them.
Yeah.
Unless it was such an integral part of the story at that point, you know?
For the most part, I pretty much stuck with the axe even afterwards, except for when, you know, the ice guys would come in.
And you need to use
fire
chaos because they're fiery.
And then they're just easy. And plus, you need it for the winds of whatever.
Yes, that's cool.
The mechanic, you know?
I just think, it was more fun for me as a mechanic than as a plot device, personally. But I think for a lot of people, that was kind of the high point of the game. And it just, for me, I was like, I get it. And trust me, I get it. I'm not saying I would do it differently. I'm just saying, a part of me wish that they just actually left it as like a past reminder. You know what I mean?
That's true.
I agree. I didn't put a damper on the game for me because you still had the ability to just sheath them and use the axe if you wanted to.
Of course.
But I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
I
don't know. I just think it was cool. Like, just it was like a little reminder, like, oh,
and it is
sometimes.
There's sometimes when you get into like harder parts of the game where you're kind of getting your ass kicked, and you're like, all right, I gotta put the axe away, and I'm just gonna swing these around a bunch of times and get some guys away from me for a second, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Because I've definitely had to do that before.
Definitely.
Yeah, that was cool.
Put it back away.
I think early on they set a really good tone for the game with the fight with Baldur, the original fight with Baldur, when
Yeah.
he was just a stranger, and you're kind of going through. You did the hunting stuff with your son. You killed the first troll, and you get back, and then it was just so cool to see like skinny dude, like not everyone's always so physically imposing in these games and stuff, and for him to just be. He literally feels no pain, can't die, and you realize when you're beating the crap out of him, Kratos breaks his neck, and he's still, But I just think that was such a cool cinematic, like it set up how cinematic the game was going to be,
and it was the first point where, because obviously we knew going into it that the game was going to be as if it was one single camera the whole time. That was the first point where it showed how cool it would be.
Yeah.
For the most part, you're just following around and stuff like that, and you're like, all right, it hasn't broken or anything like that. And then when he punches you in the jaw for the first time, you go flying over the house and go through it. You're like, that was awesome. He comes jumping over, knees the ground and shit. Like it was so cool. And you're like, all right, this is awesome. And if the fights look like this for the rest of the time, I'm going to be very and it does, and it's great.
Right.
And so I agree. That first Boulder fight was
awesome.
Well,
it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was so good.
And I think like that for me at least, that was the first where like we've said 100 times, like Kratos was just like a one note kind of character, and even here in his own way, he's still kind of like a one note kind of thing. But still, like it was the first time where like I felt like his like anger was like justified, where I felt that like anger, like I was like, man, if someone was like messing with my kid or like threatening my kid, like that sort of like rage like that, you get into protective mode, and like where I first started to like really kind of sympathize or empathize with Kratos.
Honestly, it foreshadows right to the end of the game.
Exactly, everything. He's just trying to protect his son.
Well, not only that, if you turn around and you think about the witch at the end of the game, just trying to protect her son.
Protect her son, yeah.
And you're talking about in the very beginning of the game, very end of the game.
Yeah. Well, definitely get into that part, because that is my one major gripe with this game is how they handle Freya. But I will, I want to talk about some major plot points before we jump into that kind of stuff. So another one that definitely worked for me, I don't know if I would say early on or in the middle or whatever, but when you get to the end of, I forget what the realm is with the elves, but you take out the whole Dark Elf hive.
Alfheim or something like
Alfheim,
that.
yeah.
Right?
So you get to the end of Alfheim, and there's a portal. I forget even what it is. What is that?
It was the light that they were trying to unlock to get into.
And so they see this beam of light or whatever, and
it was basically the Bifrost. It was like
they had to harness it, right?
Yeah, they had to harness it for the Bifrost.
Put the Bifrost in.
Exactly.
So in order to get in there, they're like reaching their hand in, and it's painful or whatever. And Kratos goes in, and he basically like is walking around, and he's hearing his wife.
He was in the woods because the kid kept saying, I hear mom, whatever. And he's like, no, you don't. Like she's dead. So he goes into this thing, and immediately she's like singing.
Right, that's what it was.
But you also hear the kid, you hear Atreus saying, why did you leave me? Like, and at first I'm like thinking he's talking to Kratos, but he's not. It's a conversation with his mom. And he's like...
Then she says, how could you leave me with him? He doesn't like me.
He doesn't like me. Yeah. He's like, I'll do this for you, but like, I don't like him. He doesn't like me, yada, yada. Right.
And then you pop out after all that, and Kratos is like angry at first.
Yeah.
Like, why would you pull me out? Because he's like, he wanted to be with his wife again. He hadn't had the chance. Yeah. And he realized really quickly that Atreus had been by himself.
And there's like a bunch
there was corpses all over. Like, he was like covered in blood. He was just like, you left me. He was like screaming at him. And that was like one of the real like first moments that you're like, oh man. Like, you really felt it, because it was such like that was definitely one of the few, I don't want to say few, but one of the major like human moments where Kratos, you know that feeling of like Kratos comes out angry and he's ready to like, what did you do? And then he like, realizes
what happened. Yeah.
And he's like, and you just see him like stomach
like,
drop.
Yeah,
kind of thing,
I did it bad.
It's almost like, because there are a few moments in the game where the kid's like upset and he like goes to tap him and he doesn't. Right. Like he doesn't.
Yeah. And
console the kid, but in this moment he's just like,
it was just so. It was such a like. That's what I'm saying. It was such a resonant, emotional moment, because you can really like feel. You're like, I know that feeling. Like, I know exactly what that is. And
It's like stepping on your dog's tail.
He's like,
But then you get in the boat and he's all pissed off at you the whole time, and then eventually he's like, it only felt like 5 minutes for me. Yeah, and he was like, I didn't know that. Like, thank you. That helps at least. Like, it was interesting for him to be like, I understand where you're coming from, Atreus, but it's not like I intentionally was in there for however long. Like. It was cool to see that whole interaction. I think that was
and
cool.
for the fact of them to bring it back up, if you listen to the conversation that they have, like you just said, that was a cool thing to come back on. Because even, I think I told you this beforehand, towards the end of that, you're like running around. He's like, "Can we please get out of here?" He's like, "All I want to do is leave." Like he just he hates this place.
Yeah.
And but no, I do like that.
It was also a good turning point for Atreus. In that he became a fighter on his own. That was the first time because he had always been like especially in the beginning of the game where it was he didn't even want to hurt anybody. There was that moment where he like killed the guy for the first time and he was like laying under him. He was like on top of him, and like that was interesting because like his first kill and he was kind of fucked up from it. But then now he's like a warrior, like actually killed many.
Well, you see when he comes out, there's like a bunch
piles of bodies.
That part in particular is kind of set up to how traumatic that moment was, because when he kills the guy for the first time, he turns around and he says, "Never leave me alone again," because he puts him behind him and says like, "This is my fight," and he says, "Never leave me alone again," and then later on in Alfheim that happens, and that's why he's so traumatized.
No, that was definitely a huge one for me. Absolutely, like that moment in particular was really, really good, I felt. And then we get into when Kratos tells Atreus that he's a god.
Well, that's actually something I wanted to bring up. I forgot to put on the list. What did you guys think about that? Like, I feel like that.
So I have a complicated.
There was a build up to it the whole time, like, and
there was, but I feel like it was so like.
I have mixed feelings on it.
Yeah,
because
like it was just anticlimactic a little bit.
I'm fine with that because that's more realistic and less.
Yeah.
Like I'd always prefer something that seems more natural than fantastical. You know what I mean? Yeah. Where it's like all of a sudden he's like, "You're a god." It's like this huge...
He's flying through the air, wings pop out, and he's like, "Oh
my god!" But the thing that I really have mixed feelings about is, so first of all, I understand where they're coming from. They want to show you that he's a kid, and kids can be shitty sometimes. That's like the whole idea is like. He's being a jerk. He's cocky. He's being an asshole to other people. You're meant to hate him.
To Sindri.
Yeah. You're meant to hate him for that period of time. And so I get that as a plot device. But what I don't love is that I don't think that that's who that character is. I think they did it as a plot device more than a characterization, because what we know of Atreus being raised by his mother, who was like a good-hearted person. He was always taught about how gods aren't always good and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Like, he wouldn't be like... it was not believable to me that this kid who was always taught that gods aren't great and his dad literally hates gods.
I know, it's so
and
exciting.
now he's like, oh my god.
Well, I thought the whole thing where he was mean to Sindri all came out of like left field. Like I just thought that was like it was just a little like way too much and just a little. I thought it was like.
Forced.
But the reason they were, and this is why I'm saying they're constantly skating the line of, are we telling a story about being a parent or are we telling a story? Mm-hmm. That's what it is. So it's like the narrative versus the subtext. You know what I mean? So Corey Barlog obviously wanted to put that in there to be like, when you have that experience when your child is being a jerk, and you're like, whoa, like he wanted you to feel like, how do you react in that situation? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because that happens when you're a kid. You figure things out through doing a lot, and so I get why he would want that, but I didn't buy it in the narrative. I really didn't. I didn't think that was something Atreus would do. And he quickly snaps out of it and, becomes a more level-headed person than he really is. So, interesting, but I don't think it hit fully, honestly. Mm-hmm. Other people would disagree, I'm sure. I'm not saying that's...
Right.
But
I feel like it wasn't even... I think the issue was, like, it wasn't even resolved. It just sort of, like, happened, and then just back to, like... normal, and I thought that's what was weird about it. It wasn't like, for me, at least for me, it would be nice, cool if like Kratos gave him like a conversation. It was like, hey, you don't like really like treat people like that, like, and I think that would have been really cool for Kratos' development too, who was such a
definitely
anus, for
but
freaking
there
years.
there was also the parts where
Just call him an anus.
Just call him an anus.
what's the guy's name? The head.
Mimir.
Mimir. So Mimir was constantly making comments like,
when the kids started doing that,
and like hopefully Kratos is going to take the cue kind of thing. That's why I'm saying it's not that the whole thing wasn't well done. It's that, like you said, it didn't fit in, and it didn't, like you're saying, it didn't have a firm resolution where like you would expect it to have ended with Kratos like throwing to the ground and being like, knock it off.
Yeah.
That's how he would handle it.
Exactly.
He wouldn't sit down and have a conversation about it, but instead he just kind of was like, wow, I was being kind of a jerk before.
He's like, why were you so hard on him? Like, it's like, okay.
Because Kratos is sitting there and going, when his son's like being a total asshole.
Yeah.
But, again, I get it as a plot device, but...
No, I get it too, but like...
In a narrative...
It wasn't resolved.
The one thing I was thinking at that point is that, like, I felt Kratos was... Maybe what they were trying to show is that the kid had the same tendencies as Kratos, because once Kratos became a god, he was just a complete tool of destruction, like he was just an asshole.
Yeah.
But I do agree, like the natural thing you would have thought is, why is Kratos not holding this kid by his neck up in the air and screaming at him? And they just kind of let it resolve itself, and you have Mimir making his comments and everything.
I also think that part of why this whole story works is the dichotomy of the two of them, right? So it's like, for it to slip into a moment where Kratos and Atreus are both being dickheads, it was like, it was too much to bear.
Yeah.
So
luckily, it didn't go too long.
Yeah, and you're so far into the story at this point where it's not just like bringing the ashes up to the mountain anymore. Like, so much has happened that they're just like, let's just continue trekking.
Yeah,
definitely.
Let's just get through this.
I want to talk more about Mimir because I think he's like one of the best characters in the game.
I agree. Yeah, he's
really
my favorite.
He was, and what I love, because we were talking before about how Norse mythology is so cyclical in nature that you have, even if you don't, obviously most people nowadays, like this generation, where do you get your Norse mythology from? The fucking watching the Marvel movies, and whatever you can figure out about Thor. But if you actually sit and play the game and put some time into it and roll around, like, Mimir gives you all the backstory you need to know for the most part, and that's just like the offbeat
and getting
good
those
parts
like
of him,
bureaus, and getting like those bureaus that you open up and tell the stories.
And
and stuff.
he adds to it and everything.
You do get a lot. You do get a lot of Norse mythology. I mean, if you look at what people would say is the Norse mythology, they take a lot of liberties in this game, obviously, and we'll talk about. I don't want to get into it quite yet, but we'll talk about. Like the future of the series and stuff like that as we go on. But, they do a lot with the mythology in the ending for sure. We'll get into that. I just want to talk about Mimir specifically. I think so not only is he a great plot device as, hey, here's our all-knowing being, like that's very nice to have if you're a creator because you can skip the exposition and like the reasons for hearing it, and Mimir's just kind of like, "Hey, you want to hear about this?
Yeah, you want a story? Yeah, you want."
And it's fantastic
it's awesome.
because he is a really well fleshed out character right from the beginning. I absolutely loved when you saw him in the tree the first time when you went up there, and he's like, getting yelled at by by who was it, Magni and Modi and
Boulder. Yeah, they were all
because they're all sitting there yelling.
They're all giving him shit, and then. And then Kratos chops off his head to take with him.
I mean, it was such a smart thing to add an all-knowing character like that in the sense that not only is... Because you're learning as Kratos, because Kratos is in a new place and knows nothing about it, you know? But he's not even talking to Kratos. He's talking to the kid. So what he's doing is teaching the kid, but at the same time teaching Kratos on it.
And us.
And the player as well. So it was a genius move to put that character in the game,
And of course, I mean...
And his mouth moves.
I was like, like you're walking and his head is
the whole
like
time.
on his
It's
belt.
awesome.
Yeah.
But the little details in this game like that are what makes it a step above because even when you see, like, when you get in the boat and you see Kratos go like this and throw a head
put his head down and everything, and he like gives it to
Atreus. To see, you know what I mean? Like, that kind of stuff kind of really steps the game up. Another one that I just thought of that was a big moment was... During that time when the kid was being a little asshole when he found out he was a god, and he just stopped following your commands to shoot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I didn't even realize that.
You didn't notice
Yeah,
that?
he
No.
would just keep going on, and like he would shoot on his own, and you had no control over.
I remember you see there's like a nice troll, and like you're trying to walk by like quietly, and he just like goes right after him.
Yeah.
And you're like, we're gods. We
Yeah,
can do
he
anything.
started attacking shit for no reason.
And you're like,
But
no, I don't want
it was so. I know you didn't notice it, but it was literally you would aim and hit square, and you'd be like, "What?
Yeah.
Why is?"
Oh, yeah.
And then he'd be
I
like,
realized
"Boy, come on!" And he'd like say something,
Yeah.
and then he would be like, whatever, and he'd like shoot someone else. Like he would
So
stop
Atreus is
listening
going
to
through
your
his teen.
Even with the
very
with the
rapid,
Yeah,
rapid
he's-
development.
his-
even with
puberty
the
went
type
like
of
that.
arrow, like you tell him to shoot a shock, and he like wouldn't
Yeah.
shoot it, and then all of a sudden a nice arrow comes flying out of
Yeah,
nowhere,
yeah.
and you're just like, what?
No,
He's
it
not
was
doing
really
that's
cool.
actually pretty
anything,
cool.
you
It
know?
was cool, but
Yeah.
those are the things that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's what makes this a great game instead of like
Freaking
a
kids.
good game. You know.
Yeah.
But, I think that moment was really cool. I think when Atreus gets sick and you're on your own,
Another
really
cool
interesting.
part.
Yeah.
Very similar in like The Last of Us, where
Yeah.
Joel
Yeah,
gets hurt
yeah,
and
where
everything.
he's on your
Obviously,
own,
this
separated.
is much more badass.
Yeah, no, that whole bit was cool. I think what they did with the Greek mythology was small enough and interesting. I think when you first saw Athena
Yeah.
at the doorway and stuff, this was right when you got the blades, right?
Right.
And you see Athena in the doorway and she says something, and it was cool to see, and I'm glad they were in and out. It wasn't like all of a sudden...
Even when you're in
talking
Tyr's
to her.
temple and you're seeing the stuff, like it
Well, that was really cool.
Yeah.
I was going to say, in Helheim, when you go back for the second time and you see Zeus...
I thought for sure I was going to have to fight Zeus to get out of
Yeah.
there, and I was like, God damn it.
Yeah. But again, they did it well, and they didn't overstay their welcome with that stuff,
No,
because they did it just enough to... I mean, it's all patricide, right? Like, that's the whole point, is like...
Yeah.
And that's why, again, we'll talk about the ending, but that's why I think we're hinting that Loki, Atreus, Loki, is going to kill Kratos, because...
It's a cycle.
It's a cycle.
Yeah.
It's a patricidal cycle. So they're like, that's why you hear there are multiple moments in the game where like you're doing a side quest or something, and it's like you hear Atreus say like, "Why would someone kill their father?"
Yeah,
And-
the whole time.
And Kratos is like,
Yeah, he's like,
"Yeah, kill my dad, dude." Yeah.
But he does tell him that, doesn't he? He said he killed Zeus.
Once they see him in Helheim, Kratos starts to have that conversation, and Atreus is like, "Don't worry about it." Like he kind of like cuts him off.
Oh, okay.
And then later on, they talk more about it.
What was cool is when you're in Helheim, where like it seems like everybody, because you see Baldur too. It's all
You see
like
Baldur
it's all,
with
Yeah.
And I don't know, were those all like illusions, or those were
Yes.
just
No,
like,
but they were
actual
physical,
events?
Yeah.
because
When he's talking to Frey, or the...
Are you saying what they're reliving?
when they're reliving, there's like they look like the ghosts.
Yeah, those actually.
That, but when
Those
they're
actually
spying
happen.
on Baldur, and
Are
Those
you
were
saying do
just
they
like-
actually happen in the past, or are you saying can other people see the images? In
No, I just
front
mean like what they were seeing. Like, did Baldur actually kill his dad, or like who was he talking to? Baldur was
he was talking with
of them? Well, they were talking
witch.
with Freya. Yeah.
Yeah, he was talking with the witch, but it was
Mom.
in the past. But it was
That really
was
happened. He
reliving
was
it.
reliving it.
you keep
Yeah.
reliving
So
it.
she,
because it was Helheim.
because you see that she's
relive
the
your
one that
nightmares.
put that on him, that he can't get hurt
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
or die. You know?
Gotcha.
Can't feel pain and die.
Gotcha. But Kratos saw someone too.
Zeus.
Yeah.
And that was him killing his dad.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. It's like reliving your
Worse.
worst
Past,
moments,
yeah.
pretty much. Yeah. And but that's why Atreus saw Zeus and saw the whole thing, and Kratos was like, shit. Like he knew, and he was like, how am I gonna explain this? And then when he went to do it the first time,
Even in the first time you go to Helheim, you see him, don't you?
Yeah.
As he's,
Very
like,
He's in the
right
clouds,
yeah,
right?
very
Yeah.
briefly.
dude, one of the coolest things in Helheim was that freaking bird at the end of the. Did anyone look at that?
Yeah, that's just chilling there. That big giant
The
bird.
far end, like, if you keep, how you fight that guardian or whatever in Helheim?
Yeah.
There's like a walkway that like
And
the
it's
souls have to pass through, and there's a
huge.
giant bird like far, far out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, am I gonna have to fight that bird?
Dude,
That'd
the
be
first,
sick.
honestly, the first thing I'm thinking, like, I saw that, and then Zeus talks, and I'm like, Zeus is gonna be flying this giant fucking bird. Man. Like, this sucks.
Yeah.
I don't know. The best fight was the dragon fight, where you're in the dragon's mouth, and like you get like, oh man, that was cool.
That was very cool. Yeah. So the dragon fight was actually a really good moment as well, because it gave you a bit of that spectacle that
Of
was
the
missing
old
of
games,
old
yeah.
ones. So like a little bit sprinkled in is great, because it makes you feel it makes it feel more meaningful when it happens. You know what I mean? When you like, rip out the dragon's tooth and all that stuff, it's it feels physical in a way that's it's like a nice change of pace. You know what I mean? Rather than and I mean, all the side quests with the dragons were really cool too, because you didn't actually interact with them or fight them. You just unchained them and stuff.
And all they did was they were environmental hazards. You know, like they would strike down whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And stuff they were really cool. I liked all that stuff quite a bit.
Yeah.
I do want to talk about my other favorite characters, Brock and Sindri. When you first meet Brock, and he just like is cursing and saying weird stuff, I'm like, well, what the hell is going on? What is this game? And I love that he has that like pack mule or whatever.
Oh yeah, right in the beginning.
And then like next time you see him, he's like, I ate her. Like what the hell? And Atreus is constantly like, what?
And what they say he turns blue because of what, silver or something like that?
He uses his hands. He doesn't use gloves. And he handles the materials, and it turned him blue.
I forgot what the reason was.
Yeah. Because he's like, I don't give a shit. Yeah. Really good characters, both of them.
They're both of them, and Sindri's
like... Yeah, Sindri's the
total opposite,
Yeah. I love whenever you give him the axe.
Yeah, he's like carrying it like this upside down.
Those
he tries to fight you when you first see him. That's funny.
All those side quests are great. I really like the Brock and Sindri side quests. Some of the other side quests, like, you know what it is? This game had a good balance of stuff to do without being too much to do. So like when I did most of the side quests and just learning some of the stories of these people, like when I don't remember, was it the Brock and Sindri one where you had the chest and it was the guy killed his dad? Or
yeah, that was a Brock and Sindri one. It was one of their first ones too.
Yeah, but you followed up to that, and then you see the son was like had his head bashed in by his pirate mates or whatever, and that's when Atreus is talking about killing your dad or whatever. And I think the stories along those quests were actually really, really good.
Yeah.
I was a fan of that.
And what I liked about it is that it wasn't the insanely open world with so many optional characters to where you could do a side quest and be able to focus on that side quest and not have 4 other ones like in your queue waiting, like that's...
I definitely prefer that to the alternative, personally.
Yeah, 100%.
I know a lot of people like...
And they paid off well, like you got good stuff. Yeah, I mean, you got experience from fighting. Because I think the first one, right before you go up and see the guy that got stabbed in the back or whatever, you like sat in the middle of that circle, you popped a thing in, and one of 4 doors opened, and you go in there to fight something difficult. Like that was cool. I like that part a lot. Cool.
I definitely... I think a lot of the side stuff in this game is very good. I think learning about... Did you do the Thor one where the...
where you have to break the statue of Thor down?
Yes.
Yeah, that one was cool.
That was really cool because it was like... You got the whole backstory, and it's like... Thor's just a piece of shit. Yeah. Like, you're kind of learning that he's just like a terrible person, and he's like...
Even with the open...
So what was it? It was like, Thor killed...
They worshipped Thor, like the wife and the husband worshipped Thor, and then
they let him in. He like
killed him, banged his wife,
and then
built a statue where his husband was buried. Like built a statue on the guy he killed,
and then so it's now the son that wanted you to
kill
to destroy the statue. Yeah.
And that was
Can you imagine?
Because I like
the grave of the guy that you killed, and now you have a giant Thor statue there.
That's so. It was crazy.
That was great. But
I like that one.
That little stuff, those few things that kind of pepper in like the mythology surrounding it, and
a little bit of story.
But I'm saying that's really cool to like get that flavor of that world
without being invested into like a 2-hour long side quest.
No, it's very cool.
I completely agree.
I really like the way they did it.
Yeah. And even on that little area, like there was a chest, 2 or 3 chests you can get, and then you had to come back later on for like 2 or 3 extras once the water level kept lowering or raising, not lowering.
Yeah.
Those are the best though. I think that like those are probably my favorite. Like even just like when you're just riding in the boat and like the little stories. Like I think that's like what like was so endearing about this game. Like it was just the stories, and it was just like the moments of like downtime where like it's just like. Oh well, this happened, or here's something interesting, and here's like, that was like really cool.
So
did you go and light all the things too?
I lit the bridges.
You lit all the bridges and stuff to get. I just finished that towards the end of the game too, and that was pretty cool because there were a few I would go up there and there was a guy sitting there waiting for you and he rocks your shit.
Yeah,
you know, like,
tough.
and the ones that kill me the worst are the wolves, the high level wolves. They suck.
Yeah,
and if there's like more than one of them, they're freaking nightmares.
I will say, Muspelheim, Niflheim.
Yeah,
they both have really cool, interesting, unique mechanics. You know, it's like arena, combat arenas with different little twists.
It's like DLC, but built into the game.
But it's cool because it's totally optional.
Yeah,
and it's, hey, if you think this is interesting, if you enjoy the combat, go do this.
Yeah.
If you want this newish game mode that's like, you have a health meter ticking down, it's really cool.
Yeah.
So like to have that stuff added in is really interesting. I will say, one of my favorite things about this game was the Valkyries, though.
Yes.
Because I sought out all the Valkyries once I was able to. So I killed all of them except the final one. Which after you get all of them, you have to go to that place, put all their helms, and then the boss of them all comes out, and she's just like ridiculous,
insane. Yeah.
Like I will beat her, but I've just been playing other stuff, and I'm like,
how high level did you get Kratos to?
Oh, I don't know. I don't remember. 8.
That's good. I've only beaten 3 of the Valkyries.
Yeah, I only got 2 of the Valkyries. I gave up.
They're fun. They're like Dark Souls bosses.
Yeah, and they're super, super tough.
And but they're all unique. That's what I like about them.
Yeah.
They share similar attacks, some of them, but they're totally unique. Like there's one that like shields herself, and if you try to attack the shield, she just parries you back and does damage.
Yeah.
And one goes up in the air, and like if you let her charge up, it's an unblockable, undodgeable attack. So you have to
figure it out.
Throw your axe at her while she's in the air. Like you know what I mean? It's like all like puzzle bosses in a similar way. That's why it really did feel like a Dark Souls boss every time I do it. Die a million times, jump in.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
It was more strategy. I mean,
dude, the one Valkyrie. There's one Valkyrie that's in Niflheim in the fog.
Really?
So you have
to do it while you're getting.
Do it in that amount of time.
Jesus.
It's insane. But yeah, I took her down, and the final one, like I only tried once. I didn't like try, but she has every single move from all the rest of the Valkyries, so you can pull them out anytime.
To figure it out.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I remember because like the first one, it took me like 2 tries. I like lost, and then I beat her on the second try, and I was like, all right, that wasn't so bad. And then you go to like the next one, and the second one that I fought was basically the same thing, but she could also like. She was rising up other guys to fight you at the same time, so it was like super annoying. And but at that time I had the Blades of Chaos, so I was just like swinging, getting out of the way, and then just attacking her with everything. And then I fought like the third one, and she was so fast, and I was like, I was like, are you kidding me? It's like I'm way too underleveled for this right now. But
so
it was awesome. They're a great fight.
Yeah, they're awesome. I want to save the ending discussion for the end of the podcast. So what I want to get into now is my main issue with the game I want to talk about.
Lay it on us.
Freya, the witch in the woods, whatever you want to call her, she was an amazing character throughout the whole game. Really awesome character. She was strong by herself, like just living on her own. Doesn't like the gods, they don't like her. Like she's just like, I'm doing my thing. Yeah. She's saving these animals. Like Gardening has this beautiful place. Like lives under an awesome turtle. Like awesome, love her. Think she's a great character. And the game rolls around, so we find out in Helheim, Freya's Baldur's mother, and when he was young, she was nervous for him. She didn't love Odin. She like married him for. We found out that she married Odin for
to bring the two.
Yeah, it's some diplomatic reason. Like yeah, and so she knew that he was dangerous, and she didn't really like him. So she said, "I'm gonna put a protection spell on my son, so he'd never have to feel pain, and he couldn't die. Like live forever, never feel pain."
Right.
So that in and of itself, fine. Understandable. Nobody wants their child to suffer if you can help it. She had the ability to do it. She did it. She didn't think about the long-term consequences. Like now, Baldur's miserable. You can't even get drunk.
Completely
you can't do anything
for the whole thing. Yeah.
So, end of the game, you fight really awesome boss battle. Actually, with she's controlling the giant. The giant that's dead
that's
over
cool.
there.
Yeah, what was that? That was one of the
that was
coolest
really
moments.
cool. Yeah, when you bring down the hammer and
Maybe
everything.
it's the coolest moment when you first see that giant and just like the head is like bigger than your entire TV screen.
You know what I love is if you go to the map, once you go to that
he's
area,
on-
like
Yeah,
you
he's in
see
the dead
him
shit,
laying there. It's
and like
that's
just
super
like
cool.
his nose hairs
Yeah.
like in the wind, like it just.
Oh yeah, his mustache and his
Yeah.
beard,
Yeah.
you're like unlocking.
So good.
But yeah,
That was
that
and
boss
like
fight
exploring
was,
that whole thing.
Yeah, that was cool.
But so I'm saying that boss fight is awesome. I loved it.
Yeah.
They turned the one strong female character into a overprotective mother
Yeah.
and didn't even allow her to make a decision. The guy had to make the decision for her. So her decision was, I'm going to let my son kill me because I choose to do that.
Yeah.
So instead of allowing her to do that, Kratos says, no, I know better than you.
Yeah, I'm gonna
You're
kill-
acting
yeah.
crazy. I'm going to kill him. How fucked up is that?
That's messed up.
It's terrible.
Yeah,
It totally
it-
left such a sour taste in
It
my
ruins
mouth.
like
Where I was
every
like,
sort
what
of-
the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, you work so hard to get to this point and you're trying to tell a story that's better and different than your old games. And then you do
But
that.
but still, yeah,
it's like
it completely takes
oh,
all
it
the
was
power
so
away from her.
frustrated, man. I was
Yeah.
like, what the fuck? So, to begin with, making her an overprotective mother is just such a stupid cop out.
That's a trope,
Where it's
yeah.
like, just don't fucking do that. Don't do it. Like, what you could do is say, I'm going to protect my son, but I'm going to be a badass about it. I'm not going to be, please
That's all she kept doing the entire
she's
year.
so,
She's like, no, my son,
Yeah,
my
I'm like,
son.
what?
But that just ruins the character that we've
That's what
learned
I'm
to
saying.
grow. Like
We've
the
liked
entire
her.
like 90% of the game, she's
Smart,
strong, independent. Yeah,
And then all of a sudden she's like, no, please don't
Yeah,
hurt him,
it
don't
ruins
hurt him. And
everything
she's
that
saying
we-
it over and over again.
yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
This is not the character.
it ruins everything.
That's
that we've learned
not.
about
That's
her.
literally not the character. Like, it was so frustrating. And then again, you get to the point where it's the ending just pisses me off because you make it paints now. It's like Freya is the crazy bad woman.
Yeah, no,
Where
yeah,
she's
that
like,
ruins it.
I will kill you guys.
Yeah,
Like, blah, blah.
yeah.
And Kratos and Trish are like, I think we did the right thing. You know, like, that's the ending, and I'm like, that's your takeaway from this?
Yeah, well then, yeah.
What?
Who says it? It's just like, oh, she'll understand later or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, some stupid.
I
crap
haven't
like that.
tried.
What?
I haven't
The
gone back
fuck?
myself, but I heard if you go and try and visit her, like something happens after.
Oh,
the
really?
game. Yeah.
Oh, I'd like to check that
Or
out.
like
see.
maybe she just says something, or she completely ignores you. But I was reading something and I didn't read too far
that's
into it because I hadn't beaten the game at that point.
I know they do things like that because if you go back to your house, you see Thor. Did you see that or no?
No, I didn't
Thor?
do that.
Like,
Yeah.
It's basically, you know, and again, we'll get to the end when we get to the end, but it's basically a shadow, like a silhouette of Thor, like coming to your house, and you realize, all right, this is what the sequel's going to be. Like, it's a lead into the
Okay.
sequel kind of thing.
All right,
No way.
I'll have to do that.
It's a very small little clip, but it's interesting. Yeah.
Just a nice little thing.
Yeah.
Here, you beat the game. Here's a little.
A little,
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. It was just so disappointing
I would
to have.
I would have loved to see her with all these powers. She's controlling the shot. I would have loved to see her kick Kratos' ass.
Yeah,
and like
seriously.
even come back maybe a little bit later
100%.
for a different fight.
Yeah,
against
no,
Baldur, You
definitely.
know, like have to seek him out in secret because
But that's
she
what
has
I'm
this
trying to
ability.
say. If she's so strong, instead of being in a panic and,
yeah, just
and being
completely
like a
180s everything.
Yeah,
that
Just
we-
like,
but
do
she
some
could
Doctor
have,
Strange
yeah,
shit.
she
and
could have done
separate
some
them,
crazy
you know?
shit and been like, you know, or let Kratos kill him.
yeah,
And then she comes out and is like, "What have you done?" Like, and got angry about it.
Yeah.
That would have been totally
that,
reasonable.
yeah. But like you said at the end, then she looks like crazy, and she's just like, "Oh, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna kill you," and then
Yeah.
Kratos and Atreus are just like, "She'll get it at one point." Like, you know, she just lost her son.
But
It's
isn't
okay,
that
yeah.
literally? That is literally
No,
the
it's-
worst.
it's
That is
terrible.
the like. We know better than
Yeah, no, that's horrible.
We're
No,
men,
no, that's
we know better than her.
disgusting. It's absolutely
It's
disgusting.
terrible,
It's
and I'm like,
absolutely disgusting.
but it's like,
and that's the whole game,
how
right?
did we get there?
And the
the
whole-
whole point of this game was
To
the
be
opposite.
better. Yeah, the whole
you're
game was
trying to
about
be
Kratos
better.
and Atreus trying to be better people, trying to grow, and then it just goes back to that freaking misogynistic, you know,
Yeah.
what the original games were.
So frustrating because they were so close. I mean, what I will say is, they even throughout they didn't hit everything. Like, I think they hit on a lot of what they were doing, and I like Kratos and Atreus' relationship by the end. I think it did well, and I'm glad that, like, I think it was earned that Kratos was then able to, like, actually put his arm around his son or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I get that that's
Oh,
kind
that's
of
nice, man.
that's kind of like eye rolly, like, okay, like he couldn't touch his son in the beginning
Yeah.
because he's too much of a
Well, yeah,
man.
like
It's,
you
like,
mentioned that
silly.
whole
Yeah.
thing where he was like trying to always just like.
He just didn't know how to console him in the right way, you know? Well,
Yeah.
first of all, his hand was bigger than his freaking head.
Yeah, no, but I'll say that was a really frustrating moment and really left a sour taste in my mouth. But the ending itself, I actually like quite a bit, and I think they leave a lot open for some interesting stuff to happen in the next couple of games. So,
and what I do like about the end of the game too is like once you see everything and stuff, you walk back, you get right back into the game. There's no like credits are rolling and now it's like, do you want to go back before you fought the final boss? You know, like I like that, you know, and it's just like you can go do whatever the hell else you want to do without even a hiccup, you know.
I want to go back to something that you talked about before, actually, when you're in Tyr's vault.
Yeah.
So absolutely love that moment where you're in Tyr's vault, you're exploring things, and then because Kratos has always been shady about his past because he didn't want his son to know that he's a god because he hates gods and he can't reconcile
that he is one.
He hates that he is one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't even want that. Yeah. So that whole interplay is good. And then when he sees some of this stuff, you can see him wanting to open up about it, where he's like, you know,
it's almost, you know, like the kid's gonna see some of this shit.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
Like,
and he's starting to realize that he needs to tell him.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to see some of that stuff. Like it's the elevator ride right after that where he like throws him the, you know, again another like shitty dad thing.
Yeah,
it's like, take a sip of the wine. You know, like it's such a like, but it's that moment where they're like kind of bonding and he like tells him, you know.
A little bit more
about himself and stuff.
I did like Tyr's Temple as a playthrough thing too, because you had all that puzzle solving mixed in. You know.
Yeah, we had to take what was it with your blades? You had to pull and have
not only the winds of whatever, but you also have like you got to freeze the thing so that you can run under the spikes. And
spike.
Like, that was a cool playable area
cool.
as well.
I liked a lot of the mechanical stuff they did.
Yeah,
but another cool thing we mentioned before the video actually is. Right before he gets the blades, he kind of like lets the bandages come off, and you see his scars.
Yeah, from the chains and
then he throws the chains back on. I think that was a really cool moment of because right in the beginning, I mean, the very beginning of this game kicks off in an emotional way where when he's chopping the tree right away, you see the bandage
start falling
come
off,
out,
and he like fixes it, and stuff,
wraps it back up, and it kicks off nicely with, you see the relationship that the son had with his mother. You know, he's crying at her bedside and stuff, and he's trying to be tough for his dad. And, you know, that's why I'm saying, like, if you judge this game as a whole, like we do, it's a fantastic game, and it's really well done. But it definitely, there are parts that frustrated the hell out of me. And I'm not talking mechanically because actually, you know, a lot of people have some problems with the combat. I thought the entire time I adored it.
No. I thought it was remarkable.
I never got sick of certain enemies. Like, I just loved the combat, and I think it's just a really, really well-made game.
Throwing the axe, I could throw the axe out for hours.
That was cool.
Like the entire game, just throw that thing at people.
It was so good.
But and I told you guys I gave my PlayStation 4 to my brother to let him play the game. He's never played a God of War game in his life, you know, and thoroughly enjoyed this game from start to finish in about like 5 days.
Right.
That's
like,
amazing.
just went through
That's
it,
awesome.
knew nothing about the Blades of Chaos, didn't care, enjoyed it. You know,
so he still loved it just as much,
loved
without even
everything about it, without
originals.
having known any of the past stuff.
Wow,
you know?
wow, that's
so it's just like, and obviously
he
he misses out on a little bit of things, but completely enjoyed the game.
Yeah.
Cool. That's like a really good compliment, though, that your brother was able to.
Oh yeah,
you know, without having
completely played through.
Yeah,
you know, and enjoyed the whole thing. And I think for the most part, it was because of the gameplay mechanics. You know, he was just like, it's so. Not only that, it's aesthetically pleasing as you're watching it, and you're just like sitting there, and it's so
the game
fluid,
is gorgeous.
You know,
really good looking game.
Because it's hard for me to disassociate. What I know of it. I think that's why I enjoyed it so much, was just because of what I sound like a broken record. I've repeated myself 100 times. But you know what I mean? My experiences with the original games, and now here's something different. Like, it's hard for me to disassociate. So to hear someone who had no experience, love it just as much. That's, I think that's a real telling sign of like a really
and this is somebody who I was saying before in that generation of all your Norse mythology is coming from Thor Marvel movies, you know. So
let's jump into the Norse mythology type stuff. So first of all, before we even get into too much on it, I thought the World Serpent was incredible.
That was cool.
Yeah, oh yeah, great character.
Such a great character, and just so like unbelievably big. You know what I mean? Like when you see like his body wraps around the entire place.
Even just like he's in the distance, you just see him just go.
Yeah.
It's just like
there's a part where I forget where, but he's snoring. He's like sleeping and snoring, that's and awesome. If you stand underneath him, like everything rattles a little bit.
That's great.
Maybe we have to go inside his mouth. And you just going closer to him and just like.
You just look around. When I first got in there, I was looking around everywhere. I was well, first of all, I was looking around because I was like, for no stupid ass reason, there's going to be an Odin's Raven here somewhere. So I'm like staring around, looking for it. But you were in there briefly, which was perfect. You know, like you didn't need to be in there for a long time. But just looking at the shit that he swallowed was funny because you have like shits, like skeletons in there, but then just like random rocks,
like a building.
It's like building.
Love it. It was awesome. That moment where he just opens his mouth is just so funny. He's just like letting so much water into his mouth. He's just like sitting there.
And Mimir talking to him and stuff is just like, it's such a funny language. It's good. When's the part when Atreus calls him though? What? I remember that, but I don't remember what it was for.
When he calls?
He calls to him. Remember? Because they needed to speak to him, but they didn't have Mimir. And Atreus speaks to him. He says something, and I can't remember what part of the game it was.
It's slipping my mind.
I can't even recall.
I can't remember. It was so brief.
So let's the mythology itself. I think they do some really interesting things. All the different realms, really cool. I think.
And showing you the realms that you can't access in the game, but still showing you them. You know?
Right.
Still
cool.
like
Midgard
or
where Odin is and stuff like that. Asgard, like Asgard, you can't go to Asgard. And
it is really cool because it gives you. I mean, this game does a very good job at setting up sequels.
Yeah.
But it at least leaves something. It's not like you ironed every single piece of ore in this. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It is interesting. I think. The Magni and Modi stuff is interesting because you find out that Thor is such a shithead.
Yeah.
And then you realize, wow, his kids are just fucking idiots. You know what I mean? Like, they're just so stupid. And I thought what was really cool was when, during that time when Atreus is being a dick and he stabs Modi or whatever.
Yeah.
Stabs him and kicks him over.
Yeah.
And it was like, you're realizing like, okay, like Kratos kind of made his living killing gods like this. You know what I mean? Like, is this really what we want to do? and you see Kratos being like, you don't do that. Like, that's not, you know. I thought that was a good turning point there. I'll say I absolutely love that they never show Odin. Yeah. And they never show Thor except for that silhouette at the end.
Yeah.
Because they don't have the pantheon that Greek gods has. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like, you can't get away with killing 20 gods in one game. And you wouldn't really want to. But you wouldn't really want to because that's part of what made the old ones like become a little trite. Yeah. It's like, all right, here we go again.
Here we go. Here's Poseidon.
I love that this was like main villain. And then you just had a couple little side guys, and that was it. Like, there weren't a lot of characters.
No, there wasn't. Well, it
was great, though. I think that was on purpose, and they did a really good job.
Well, it makes when you actually kill, like, one of the... Like, it's much more
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
You know?
So at the end, when they actually take out Baldur, that was like...
Yeah.
That was like, wow.
Epic.
There it goes.
I loved the fight with Modi and whatever the other guy's name is, Magni. You know, like, that was the first, like, it was a 2-on-2 awesome
fight,
that
was well done.
It was cool.
Even like we had to like get the shield and you had to like back to back and be like waiting for them to come out and you gotta like block them. Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah,
that was cool.
Yeah, because you even have that like that was really cool, and then you have that when you're fighting the Dark Elf guy too. Remember, he like makes everything go.
I
up
hate that
though.
Yeah,
when you're sitting there, and you're like, where is this son
I hate
of a bitch?
That guy was hard.
It was tough.
It was cool though. I did like that. So let's jump to the ending. I think we're starting to wrap on this.
Yeah.
So after the whole thing, we already mentioned Freya's situation. So after she goes crazy, she's emotional, then she basically says she's gonna kill us. You know, like she gives a speech, like
swears
she's
revenge.
Swear revenge on us. and then leave.
I hope that's not setting up like the sequel.
That's just so.
Sure seems like it is.
That's just so. I don't know. That's just so.
Which the guy said he has 4 more stories. The guy who made the game. He's like, I
Did
have
he?
4 more God of War stories to tell. You know,
Whoa.
whether he tells them all or not, or like combines them into another 2 games.
I assumed that this would be 2 more.
I was thinking a trilogy thing as well.
But we'll see. Yeah. But then right after that whole thing with Freya, she walks away, and it's time to go to Jotunheim.
Yeah.
And before we get into the details of Jotunheim, I will say, way too many fucking MacGuffins at the end. Way too many. Oh, we're almost there. Let's just do this one thing, and then no, do this.
Yeah.
And then, oh, we're almost there, and then no. Let's do, too much. It was too many. And but now once we get to Jotunheim, walking up these huge steps, it's like no other place that we've been. It's really, really cool visually. Mm-hmm. And
these huge statues.
Yeah. Oh, just incredible. I love the way this place looked. And when you get up, you start to see, I forget, is it just right away you see the engravings on the wall? Like,
You're about to...
No, not quite yet. You see like 4 big statues first, I think, of like giants.
And then you like go upstairs.
And then you like kind of just curl,
Were those real giants?
around.
Because Atreus goes like, oh, what happened to them? Like,
well, the guys out, all the dead ones.
Right, okay,
yeah,
so it goes, okay.
Yeah, like once you're at the very, very end, then you see them all over.
But then once you're close...
Huge.
Yeah. What happened to all of them, by the way? Do we know? Did they say what happened to all the giants?
Some of them migrated out of there when the other ones died. I don't know how.
I think they all moved there and then they didn't have a source of food or something, right? Isn't that what it was?
I don't remember.
But I don't know. I feel like they talked about it, but I don't remember.
Yeah.
But when you get up to the top near the end, you see all the stuff on the wall.
Yeah.
And you start realizing that this is kind of like the history and the future, you know? And
because the first thing he says is, "There's our fight with Baldur that just happened."
Right.
Like,
how was that here? That just happened.
That just happened.
And then you start to realize, and then you see, he's kind of going through different things, and it's like, oh wow, look, that's us, like whatever. And then you see Kratos dead
in the arms of Atreus.
Right. And Atreus has a snake coming out of his mouth.
Yeah.
Right. So I think this is right before.
But Atreus doesn't see that, which is a big thing, which is good.
Atreus sees a lot of it, and then he kind of like walks by and looking at other stuff. Because like the thing like blows up or something.
Yeah.
The wind blows.
Yeah, like
Is it like a curtain over it?
Yeah, a curtain over it just kind of blows in the wind. Inside of a building.
And then.
Yeah.
But then he talks about. Is this when he talks about the old warrior, like how Kratos wanted to name him after a warrior, or like Atreus?
Yeah.
Oh, it was his mom who wanted to name him.
Because it was
I'm saying
that
Atreus,
was them walking up to the stairs. He talks about naming him the warrior.
Yeah, Atreus is the name of the warrior that Kratos
was
with and like really respected or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he says that his mom wanted to name
him something else. And I don't remember the sequence. Does he say? He reads
there?
it, and he's like, "What's this name that keeps popping up? Loki or something like that?"
Yeah. So the whole implication is God of Mischief, Loki. That's who Atreus is.
Yeah. And
obviously, again, we say they're playing fast and loose with the mythology, but Loki's supposed to be the son of Odin. Is Kratos Odin? I don't think so, but maybe, I don't know. But because we said everything's cyclical in Norse mythology, so they say like Ragnarok already happened and it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. That's kind of how it works. So Loki also gives birth to the world serpent.
I was gonna say the serpent's already born.
Serpent's already been born, and then he'll die and be born again, and it's the way they do that stuff in Norse mythology,
which I liked very much, because everything that you learn about the world serpent right away is from Atreus, from what his mom told him.
Yeah. So
his mom, having known all this, taught him everything about the world serpent.
No, it's very interesting. And then you go out across, you let the ashes go, and you're looking out at all these dead giants out there.
Yeah.
And that was a really, really cool visual, I think. But the interesting thing, and the thing that I'm a little bit confused about, is Kratos says specifically, or Atreus says, I forget who, Mimir maybe, giants are a race, and they're not all giant.
Yeah.
Right? So what we're seeing in Jotunheim
are
actual giants.
Yeah.
Like the dead guy in the snow.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
But then you have like his mother
who was a giant, who was not actually
giant.
Yeah. You know, and that's interesting. I don't know how that works specifically, but I just thought that was it was a good moment when they're at the top and they're kind of like, you know, sitting next to each other, like arm around each other, and like let the ashes go. And I thought that was really good. And then they like kind of walk down the stairs together, and I'm like, oh, now what?
And you just go right back into the game. It's like.
Yeah, I really like that end sequence, and I really am intrigued at what they set up. Again, like I said, not showing some of these major characters and kind of holding out on that. I think that was really cool.
I thought Kratos was going to die. That's how the game would have ended.
I know.
Honestly, that would have been pretty
And you play as Atreus.
Yeah, I was honestly thinking, like, as they were going up there, after seeing that, I was like, I'm going to have to fight one more person, and I'm going to die. You know, like, that's what I was thinking. That might
be, you know, now let's talk a little bit about what we think about for the future, because I think that they could go a number of ways here. They can go Thor, main villain, number 2.
Yeah.
He dies at the end, yada yada.
You still have Odin.
Odin's number 3.
Right.
That would be the main thing. What I was thinking would be cool, Freya's swearing revenge and everything, right? So, if she is able to, like, take down Thor or Odin and then be the boss.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Then that would at least be an interesting twist. Because I feel like it's fairly obvious. It's almost too obvious that you would do Thor number 2, Odin number 3, that they would probably try to flip it somehow.
Yeah.
Somehow. I don't know how. You know,
what Freya has the reason to kill Odin because she hated him. Anyway.
Oh, she hated him, yeah.
But where does Odin's power, actually, you know?
Yeah.
They make him seem like the all-powerful.
We have to go to Asgard.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's a whole...
Yeah.
Complete... That's a city realm, you know? Like,
yeah.
That's not just...
And that's why I'm interested. Is there going to be an entire game in Asgard? Is there going to be... Are we going to get glimpses of these things in the second one and not conclude them until the third? You know, like, there's a lot of questions to be answered.
Yeah. And now,
I was just curious,
to,
what do you guys think?
Now, similar to all the other God of War games, everybody hates you. You know, like, Odin hates you, Thor hates you, now Freya hates you. You know, like, you have, besides Brock Sindri and your own son, and a head on your hip, you know, like, nobody likes you, and everybody wants you dead. And that's the similarity to the other God of War games, and, you know.
Definitely, yeah.
So that's where... You could take any angle, and anybody could be... I would like to see the same thing where, like, another person comes out of the woodworks and you have, like...
Well, surely there will be other people. Maybe we'll see Tyr again or something, you know what I mean? Because it is all cyclical.
Well, I think Tyr was the God of War, but he was good. Yeah. He was a good god.
I think everyone has their demons, but I think he did some good things.
Yeah, he went to all the different...
realms, yeah.
Realms
he was
and
the
stuff
realm
like
walker.
That too. Yeah.
Right, that was the thing. Atreus said, like, instead of
a lot of people are saying Kratos is Tyr because
he's walking.
He is a God of War. He went to all the realms. He married a giant.
Right.
You know what I mean? He joined giants and gods. You know, like so. We'll see what comes of that, but that's what. You know, a popular theory is that Kratos is Tyr.
He was a good god though because he instead of like using war to stop war, like he prevented the wars or something like that. Kratos isn't preventing any war though.
Well, not yet.
Not yet. Maybe.
Yeah. Do you guys have any other thoughts before we close up here? Do we have any ideas about what's going to be in the future here, or?
Hopefully they announce the next one at E3 next week. That would be nice.
Oh, that'd be way too early.
Yeah, no way.
Way too early.
No way. I don't know.
These could be like 4-year apart games, probably. Yeah. You know, like with the amount of information and stuff that goes into them. You know?
And there will be another one. I don't know. I just coming off the coattails of this one though. Like I definitely won't. I don't think it's gonna. No matter how good the next one is. I don't think it's going to be as it's too soon to say, but I don't think I don't think it's going to be as impactful. That's a good word. Impactful as this one. This one was just like a breath of fresh air into a franchise. A franchise that a lot of people loved, you know, but it was just
a familiar PlayStation franchise that is now set up for this new generation.
Yeah,
you know, like now you have the PS4, which has to be coming to the end of its life cycle at this point. You know, like.
Have to buy
you know, you have no idea.
Not yet.
And no, I mean they'll play out for a few more years still, but what, 2013 you got the PlayStation 4 coming out.
Yeah.
We're 5 years past that now. So, but regardless, you have this new setup, and it's God of War, and it's awesome, and it's a way to continue it. And like I said, the guy's got several more stories he wants to tell.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, there's plenty of directions they can go, and they can really take the time with this because people will wait.
Yeah. I hope they do.
Yeah.
All in all, very high on this game. I like it a lot. I think it succeeds in most of what it does. A few bad things aside, I think this is a very good game.
Yeah. And they knew it would be good. Like I feel like they totally knew it would be good. This was the way they wanted to go, and now that they know people loved it, the ball's in their court again, and they could do whatever they want.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested to see what they do for the
double
next
axes.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Dan, anything to add?
No, I just it was a delightful surprise. I thought it was really, really good. I give it like a 9 out of 10. I think I put it in the 90s. I thought it was really
cool,
really good. I still have my reservations, but I don't know. Fantastic, definitely.
It's a great game.
Yeah.
Definitely be in the running come Game of the Year time.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us for this God of War spoiler cast.
Thank you, Shelby.
Thank you, Shelby, for joining us on the couch. Thank you, Dan, for joining me as always.
Thank you, Dan, for joining me on the couch as well.
And we'll see you guys next week. Thanks. What's up, guys? It's Dan from Circle Back. I'm just here to let you know you can find everything that we do at circlebackgaming.com. If you just want the podcast, we're on iTunes. If you just want the video, we're on YouTube. So catch us either place. Thanks.